You are listening now to the Spirituality Now podcast, the show that is solely focused on practical spirituality, leadership, and mindset skills with the aim and purpose of supporting you master your life. Welcome to the Spirituality Now podcast. Welcome to the Spirituality Now podcast. I am your host, Yvonne de la Flor, and I'm very excited because, some podcast interviews, and by the way, we're in YouTube. Everyone that is listening to us in iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, iTunes, Amazon, Google Podcasts, Alexa, Sonos, etc. Now we are on YouTube too. So if you want to go see my excitement and my very pink shirt today and my tea set and my very amazing guest, go to YouTube, follow us, click the link, click the little bell, all of those shenanigans. But the reason I'm excited today is because this is the first podcast that is rehearsed. Obviously, we're going to flow. The interview is going to be new, but it's rehearsed in a way that we've tried this before. The first time there was some kind of interception of timings. The second one, we did a whole interview. We had tears. I had tears. Jeff, you had tears too, right? We were crying. I was in my car. I got locked out of the studio. Keys, no one could come into the house, into the studio and everything. And we did the interview from my car, and it didn't record. So now we're ready. They say the third time is the charm. I'm not sure about that. Hopefully it works because I've been married twice like you, Jeff. And I hope that the third time is the charm. Anyways, I'm going to introduce you to my amazing ally whom I met through Tim Grover that I always give a shout out because I have a lot of guests. Thanks to Tim Grover and Shari Wen, the co-authors of the books Winning and Relentless, that are New York Times bestsellers. These are bestseller people. They help millions of humans win, be relentless, and they're just such human beings. And thanks to these incredible human beings, I met this incredible ally. So my beloved ally and guest, his name is Jeff Vulpis. He's a mindset coach and life-changing speaker dedicated to transforming lives and helping individuals reach new heights of success. With his unwavering passion and expertise, he empowers people to overcome their limiting beliefs, unlock their true potential, and in every aspect of their lives. Through his impactful coaching, that's how it's called, videos and customized mindset programs, he equips individuals with battle-tested systems designed to propel them to the summit of their personal mountains. I like that. What I like about mountains? I like to reach to the top. And then I love this saying that says, when you reach to the top of the mountain, keep climbing. That's not the end. That's just the beginning. He draws from his profound experiences, and they're really, really strong. We're going to talk about it in the podcast. All this mindset coaching system that he has crafted to really help people conquer and face their own limitations as he did. His journey has been one of triumph. Really, Jeff, you have, the zero to hero kind of really genuine story. From enduring poverty, grappling with stuttering resources, divorce, and so much more. He emerged as a living testament of the power of the human spirit and the potential within each of us. Now, the adversities that Jeff has lived have not only shaped him into a resilient individual, but has provided with the valuable insights and tools that he can help others with. Because, what is the purpose of going through hell if you are not going to help people go to heaven? I always
Amen.
say so. I'm an expert. Jeff, I'm a pro expert on hell visitation, right? I'm always like, there's a book called The Tibetan Book of the Dead, where there's the bardo. The bardo is the realm where when people die, they go in transition. There's the monsters, there's the past, there's the darkness, there's all of the stuff that you got to go through before you reach paradise or heaven. And a consistent visitor. I think I have to the bar though, and we'll talk about that. So by investing, he helps people achieve, and conquer these kind of adversities by investing in themselves daily and embracing the right mindset. Jeff, you firmly believe that people can unlock their true potential and create extraordinary lives. You're a testament of that. You are a living testament. And I love this quote that Jeff always says: your mindset is the steering wheel for your life. Where it goes, you will follow. Welcome to the show, my beautiful ally.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Yes, and I have a lot of words, and you are a man of few words. I just felt like I got to learn something from it. So, yeah, we're going to start. Your bio is very impressive, and I made it more like, I gave it life to it as I was sharing it, because I know part of your story. Obviously, not all of your story. No one except oneself knows our full story, right? But the parts of the story of you that I know, I think they are remarkable, gruesome pain, right? I think it's a suffering, as we were talking yesterday, and maybe tears will start to come in, that I would never have wanted a child of your age to go through. I mean, it breaks my heart till this day. It breaks my heart, any child that goes through what you went through. I'm a mother, and I approach it like that. And it breaks my heart, the adults that don't survive that cannot take a different route and become really tyrants or abusers or so angry with life. And it breaks my heart. I feel an incredible compassion for all of them. And I'm still checking in with that with you. So we're going to start there. So, because your bio shares a lot of the adversities you overcame, but I want you to share briefly, and we did it yesterday in our rehearsal podcast, right? A little bit of your background story of the adversities that you have overcome, so people can listen to that.
Sure. So it started out the gate being born at 6 months, 2 pounds, 11 ounces. I grew up, both my parents dealt with the crack cocaine epidemic of the 80s. So they were off battling their own demons. I was raised by grandparents. I developed a huge stuttering problem due to the anxiety and stuff that I went through. I lived in my car. Oh, actually, I dropped out of high school to get 2 jobs. So I dropped out of high school to get 2 jobs. I was living in my car at 25, divorced at 20, divorced at 24. At 11 is when I went through that thing with my mom, with the beatings with her boyfriend that I had to help every night. And then in my mid 30s, I actually was living in a car for 2 years while I was building my business up.
Again, just like in a rehearsal podcast, you go through it so like smoothly, like surfing, right? Surfing a wave, like you just. I saw you as a surfing guy, right? And it's a powerful metaphor to surf the storms in life. There's an incredible book I highly recommend it to everyone called Transurfing, and it talks about this. And you are surfing that, but I'm going to, pause in a wave and honor again live for people to hear that you were going through a lot. And I can just imagine, that I had, this is the first time I know that there was a crack epidemic in the 80s. I had no clue. I was busy dying, Jeff. But when you were going through that, so when you were going through that, you were living in a car, I was dying in a car. It's incredible that the amount of darkness that we have gone through, the amount of hell that we have gone through. But let's honor that. So I'm going to go back to the 11-year-old boy that was there. You said that the beatings that your mother was receiving and that you had to help every night. Because yesterday you shared with me that people will come down the hill to help you.
Yeah. So
a little bit about that, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure. So what would happen is, and I have an okay relationship with my biological mom now. And I understand as a man that when we go through things as a kid and we don't heal, we reach out to shitty relationships and we reach out to shitty people and we stay in it. And I understand that. So I'm have, forgiven her and moved on with that. But back when I was 11, what would happen is she was with a very abusive big guy, and they would fight 5, 6, 7 times a night. And I would have to go in there and run in the room, and there would be guns and knives and bats, and just literally like every night was fighting for your life. And I'd have to get in between them, and I'd get my ass kicked sometimes. And, but it was everything to protect my mom. And what would happen is when it got too bad, either I would get to the phone, or a lot of times Sean unplugged the phone, and the neighbors would hear. And we lived at the bottom of the hill, and all the volunteer firefighters and cops and all that lived in the neighborhood up north would come running down the hill, bust in the door, and save us. And then what happened was I went to school with their kids. And when I would go to school the next day after 30, 40 minutes of sleep, the kids would tease me and say, oh, my dad had to save your life and your mom's life and blah, blah, blah. And I would fight the kids to stick up for my mom. And then because I was fighting the kids, the teacher literally a couple times would grab me by the neck, and I would be fist fighting the teachers. Now, this is in 94, so things were a lot different. But I literally be fist fighting the teachers, then get expelled, and then go home to deal with it all over again.
I feel it's so, first of all, those children that make fun of you, shame on you people. They're adults right now, but
yeah,
it's amazing how little we know about the heroic human, and how incredible the life of those children will have been, and saying my dad got to help and rescue 2 individuals that were going through hell. It would have been a different story, but you receive these resources through hell. I cannot use any spiritual bias, dear Jeff, I still, in my area of work that I've done, family constellations for more than 20 years, trauma work, trauma integration, I still, in my heart, and I brought it to you publicly on Facebook, I would love to go back as a mother and get the hell. I will grab you and get you out of that house. Probably you will fight me, and I will be okay with that. I will be but I will take these children out. And I think this is what we need in humanity right now. We need to take people out of the darkness that they're living, to help them understand the dark side. That's why we like Tim Roberts so much, because he speaks about the dark side, but in a way that is so benevolent. So understanding, so it doesn't kill you or kill others. But I want to honor the fact that, at the age of 11, boys, and I'm very blessed that I studied with some of the main founders of the Mankind Project, which is the male initiation, men-initiated men into a rite of passage. And one of the challenges we have, and the tears are going to come, right? This is just going to happen. One of the challenges we have is what those children said to you, that the children are not properly initiated. I mean, I feel for the men in our planet right now. I don't buy into the patriarchal BS. I don't buy into the man and women thing. I really feel that we got to restore the natural sense of who we are. But, those children that's bullying, right? And those men helping you, it was an initiation. It was a forced rite of passage that usually happens for boys around that age. And I'm sorry that you had to go through it like that. But a higher soul, a soul that comes with a powerful mission like you, And how do we know a powerful mission? The hell that you live is equivalent as the heaven that you can deliver for others. Look at Jesus Christ. I mean, for God's sake, it's literally I'm here complaining about 2 divorces and a very lousy date that I had with someone that just kept complaining about his mother. That's a true story. True story. and I tried to complain about Tim Grover. That didn't work well for my ego. It was what do you think you are doing? I was never again, never again. But I do want to pay tribute to this initiation and to the level of the soul mission, and how we know that there's a powerful soul mission. And it's not necessarily for everyone, not everyone has to go through deep hell to have a powerful mission. But if you have a good heart when you have a sense of compassion, when you say, I don't want anybody to go through this. Like Sarah Blakely, the creator of Spanx, one day she kneeled down and cried, selling God that really helps women. She didn't say, I want to be a billionaire that she is. She didn't say, I want to have millions of dollars in support, right? She said to help women. And 2 years later, Spanx was born. The same happened with Jesus. He wanted, I'm not dying to ascend. I'm dying to sacrifice so I can take the sins of people. The same happened with Buddha. Buddha didn't seek enlightenment I want to be enlightened. I want to be the non-plus ultra Buddha. I want to be enlightened because I want to end suffering for people. So yes, that's a powerful mission you have. And to those boys that mock you, and thank you. And to those men that help come down to save you, I just want to thank them and thank God and Jesus for saving you back then. So let's move on from there and just honoring your initiation rites. So when you move on from you are expelled from those schools. Shame on you, teachers, for not helping the kid. But you get married very young. You divorce. That's very young, right? 20 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was 20 and got divorced by 21, and then I was married at 24 and got divorced by 24.
Yeah. Oh, that was a quick. That was
yeah.
That was quick. That's you were really young, but really lived. So when did things started shifting for you, Jeff? Because this is a lot to carry. This is a lot. And when was the shifting of the gears for you?
Well, I think really like after the 11-year-old thing, I mean, I carried that around for so long. And then I actually came to have a personal relationship with Jesus at 15, right before I turned 16. And I was actually got in the church and did a couple sermons and spoke in front of the church. But then I had premarital sex, so I was asked to leave the church. So as painful as that was, it taught me that nobody speaks for God but God. So I think at 16, I started to that was a pivotal moment of it started to help me depend on God more, listen to God as a best friend, listen to myself and do a lot of healing through God and a lot of personal work. I didn't quite know what personal development was. It was hard for me to accept love. When I got a relationship with God, it was actually the hardest thing was for me to accept love because it was so tainted what love was, what protection was, what peace was. And here's everything God offers. So I would think that was a big thing. That was kind of the starter. And then when I swear I'm not making this up. When I was like 33 or 34, I actually got hurt at a jail I worked at and blew my C5 nerve out. And I was reading a Dog the Bounty Hunter book, and he kept talking about Anthony Robbins. And I said, who the hell is Anthony Robbins? And so I found that. And then that led me to Instagram. And then I was on Instagram. And then that's how I found Tim Grover.
Okay. We got to talk about this because, Anthony Robbins, what happened in my life. I was in his platinum thing. I've studied everything with him. Going to I love Tony. He's an incredible.
I love Tony. Yeah.
But he came into me in a dream. I was in Hawaii, dreamed with Tony Robbins. I was like, who the heck is this gigantic guy? The next day I saw an infomercial. I'm older than you. How old are you? Because you just said
I just turned 40. I just turned 40, and
you're a baby because you're I'm going to turn 52 because you said, and then I joined Instagram. I'm like, he's so young. But at the next day that I dreamt with Tony Robbins, I actually saw one of the infomercials. You probably don't know what that is because you're young.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I remember them. Yeah, I remember them. Yeah.
Okay. And I was like, I gotta meet him. And then I signed up for everything. UPW, Day with Destiny. So incredible. So this is where our mentor, Tim Grover, comes in. So you went to Instagram, begin to follow Tony. And how is the Tony Robbins and Tim Grover connection? I would love to see this.
Oh, yeah. So I totally forgot to share that. So I was, when you go on Instagram, like Tony led to Ed Milet, and then Ed Milet, like if you go to Instagram, it'll say people like they know or people like them. So it'll drop down. And I saw Tim Grover. And I recognized his book Relentless, but I recognized it from 2013 when Skip Bayless was talking about it, about the difference between LeBron and Dwayne about being a cleaner. And I remember Relentless, but I didn't read it, but I remember hearing it. So it's like, oh, that's the guy that wrote Relentless and trained Jordan and everything. And I started watching his video about the BS that holds you back about the class. And I was like, damn, I need this. And at the time, I can't make this up either. The same time I found Tony, same time I found Ed, I just got electrocuted. And all this is documented, people, for like, oh, he's making it up. I got electrocuted. Yeah. I got electrocuted at a power plant I made, like an aluminum plant. I was making flagpoles. I got electrocuted. So all this was like blown out from the electrocution. And I was at home on work comp, had no money. And I had $40 left on a credit card. And Tim's class was $38. And when I say $40, like that's it for food, that's it for gas, that's it for everything. So I went and opened my pantry and was looking at half a loaf of bread and half a jar of peanut butter. And I said, well, obviously I don't know what I'm doing. But this guy, Tim, it's really, he knows what the hell he's talking about. And it hits me, but it's going to take 38 out of my last $40 to get this class. And I took it and I invested that. And then that led on to the teachings, onto the Relentless system, and on to all the groups with him.
Wow.
All this is documented.
You gotta send this podcast to Tim. He has, if he doesn't cry by now or laugh or like, just tells us, done next, kids.
Do you know what's so crazy about that? So when I opened the cabinet, I told my friend this, when I opened the cabinet and I was looking at that half a jar of peanut butter and half a loaf of bread, when we met Tim, we got to the table first. So I had my seat. And when Tim sat down, he sat directly across from me. And it hit me like 3 years before, I was looking at that peanut butter and that bread, sacrificing my food. And now I'm physically eating with Tim.
Oh my God.
So it was so amazing. I still got the receipt. I still got everything. So, yeah, that was so amazing. I totally forgot to talk about that.
Oh my gosh, Jeff.
Yeah.
Okay. This is becoming the Tim Grover, podcast too with Jeff.
Yeah.
Just a quick thing. When I met Tim, I was, it was my former husband. He brought the book Relentless to my house and he wanted me to hear it. And I was like, I don't want to hear that. That's And then I heard it just because, I'm not going to stay behind.
Right, yeah.
The competitive aspect in me, I'm like, I'm going to read it and I'm going to read everything he said. And then I have an incredible coach, an incredible business and lifestyle coach. I think he's really the best on lifestyle and business, Jesse Hitzler. And he brought Tim to talk and I felt something, and I felt his words coming behind me because you said you saw in front, right, the bread?
Yeah.
And then I go to the mastermind of Elena Cardone, the 10X ladies, and I'm in the VIP seats in the front, and suddenly I feel like a wind, literally like a movie, right, kind of thing, and I hear a voice. It's Tim Grover sitting behind me, and I realized this is that I was shaking.
That's crazy.
Shake my hand, and I was like, I think this is the revelations of the Tim Grover reality.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I know. And I never told anyone, but I really felt like, the voice that I hear behind me is literally sitting behind me. And I turn around. This was my first interaction. I was like, Mr. Grover, I'm Yvonne from Down and Dirty. And I shake his hand really hard. And I said, do you want to sit in front? And he's like, that's your seat. Take your seat. I was like, that was my first interaction with him. And then I said, hi, Shari. I was like, I don't know, but I was sweating. I was nervous. Yeah. The whole conference, I don't remember anything Elena Cardone said when Grant Cardone came.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still recovering after years. But anyways,
That's crazy.
I love, one of the things I want to pay tribute to you is that you have gone through hell, literally. Your mom being beat up, the crack, the cocaine, living in cars. The church that expelled you, I don't want to make it a fuss here, but I'm like, I'm so grateful you were expelled from that church. Whoever expels people from church, Jesus will never do that. Jesus will never expel anyone. One of the main tenets of Christianity, of pure Christianity, is love your neighbor, right? love your neighbor, love others as you will love yourself, and but be a kind citizen of humanity. I love Jesus. I got baptized in 2019. I have a lot of Buddhist friends. I study Buddhism. Buddhism is not a religion. Buddhism is a system of mindset education. Christianity, I follow the Christ. I love his leadership, but I don't follow the church. That's the truth.
Right.
But
Right.
I love that you got into this after all the hells you went through and being expelled. Congratulations. I want to congratulations.
Thank you.
Expelled of that church. My God. Anyways, so being expelled and going through all this pain, but there's such a power, there's such a joy in you, Jeff. So when did you decide that you take, because a lot of people can study with Tim Grover, I started applying everything he was sharing on the media, on Instagram, without even paying any money. So anybody that really wants to will get elevated and advantage if you want to, and you want to.
100%.
How did it, when did it dawn upon you, like, I can do this and I can help people get out of the hells they're going through, and really start with the mindset that you have? We still will have tears. We still will have trauma that we need to deal with. But when was the moment? What happened when you decided, I got to help people with this?
That's when I ended up in my car, because I left the environment that I was in, and I had a place to stay. It was a 3-hour trip. By the time I got there, I didn't. And that's how I ended up in the rest area. But I said, hey, I've overcome X, Y, and Z. I can overcome this. God said, have the faith of a mustard seed. I heard God say, it's time for you to step up and help people. Excuse me. And, then it came, my past anxieties are like, well, what about the stuttering problem you had? I said, well, when I had the stuttering problem, I overcame it by becoming a battle rapper. And those of you that don't know what that is, you get on stage and you freestyle and you battle off of what anybody says. So that will get rid of any stuttering problem. So I used that. And then I said, okay, I've already went on stages with being the whitest person there and not looking like anybody in there, having my microphone go out, not knowing what I was going to say. So I easily can make it on stage. Now, how do I want to hone in my story? How do I want to not throw people under the bus or throw dirt on them, but say, look, my story is not about crushing people. It's about lifting people up. So I really had to hone in on it and say that no matter, do I have pain? Do I have anger? Do I have rage? Yes. But being that, Tim showed me how to use a lot of that rage. And I tell everybody this, that I've met Tim and I said, Jesus Christ saved my soul. Tim Grover saved my life. Because I was always told I was crazy, retarded, artistic, all this stuff, because I had all these dreams growing up. So it was, okay, if you want to go say your story, if you want to go tell it and help people, take the time to hone in. And it took me 2 years in a car. I didn't have a client. I didn't have a speaking engagement. My first speaking engagement was put on by me. I invested everything I had. The ebook that I wrote was wrote in a car. I invested everything I had. So I never got a book deal. I never got a speaking engagement until I pushed all the chips in. But I was doing that my whole life. So it was nothing different to me.
Jeff, whoever here is complaining about the weather, about the government, listen to this podcast. I always say that complaining drains you. It's complaining drains you from the vital energy that can help you support and elevate yourself and others. And anybody here that has gone, Jeff is surfing through this. He's like, we have a few tears because we're prepared. We cried yesterday. We really cried. Yesterday was the transmission. I think that was purposeful. God has incredible plans. But whoever goes through the darkness of the pit, right, the pit of hell, which is a very important part of the hero's journey. There's no hero without darkness. There's no hero without a pit. And you and I have been back and forth in hell. And the way heaven is created is by people that have gone through hell and know what not to do anymore, and how to help people when they fall, how to get them up, right? You said, don't crush them, lift them up. I love that. And the power to overcome, to bounce back, is not only a power that stays there. You are not entry level anymore. Like Tim said, motivation is entry level. You are not only overcoming, Jeff. You are not only lifting up people. You are consistently raising the bar for yourself. And anybody here that complains, but I don't have money, he didn't have money. Half a bread of loaf, and have peanut butter, training with the best mindset mentor in the world. There's no comparison with Tim Grover. I've trained with all of
None.
them. I love them. He is the best. There's no, we need to create a new category for our mentor.
We do.
It's like,
He's the cleaner of cleaners. Yeah.
cleaner, you know.
Yeah.
He's like, I always say, like, he's like Julius Caesar. He reminds me
Yeah.
of empires, you know. And anyways, so, but you really lift up, and, you know, I'm, even how dark your life has been, how painful it has been, I'm far much motivated into elevation with your sharing than when someone comes and tells me, and I open orphanages and I did all of these things. I'm not as motivated, as intrinsically motivated, because I always have the 11-year-old boy Jeff, my ally, in my heart. You know, since I met you, I have him, I carry him. And my son is 12, and I'm like, I'm a better mother, Jeff, because you shared your story.
Thank you.
You know, and I'm seeing that anybody that can coach with you and mentor with you, and we'll talk about a little bit of your systems, how you do it, and then wrap up with a message. We'll wrap up with a message that you have for people, right? But how do you mentor people? How do you systemically help them attain this mindset? Obviously, not like you, because they have to attain their own. But how can they work with you?
So the biggest thing and the first thing I do when I start working with my clients is I help them get to the root of what's going on. It's not, well, I don't believe in myself because other people didn't believe in me or this or that. Okay, so you need validation. So you need some healing with that. So you need to find out why you loving yourself, you trusting yourself, you believing in yourself is not enough. I had people, and I share with them, I said, I had crazy people in my family. 98% of my people in my family still don't believe in me, never believed in me, told me I was retarded, autistic, idiot, all that stuff. But if you're a spiritual person, just like Jesus Christ gives you the choice to sin or not sin, he gives you a choice to pick up your blessing or not pick it up. Faith of a mustard seed. You still have to have faith. Faith without works is dead. So you still have to choose to say, whether I'm having a crappy day, whether I've had all this come against me, whether you complain, cry, bitch about it, whatever, it's still in front of you. Are you going to pick it up and do something, or are you going to sit there and bury your, like, die right now, but be buried 88 years later? So it's all about, look, let's face the problems that we have. Excuse me. Let's face the problems that we have. Let's get a solution. Let's get a game plan going. Let's take action and move on. And you have to block out the opinions, and you have to listen to yourself, because every battle is in here. It's not out here. The divorce wasn't out here. The homelessness wasn't out here. It was in here. I was in myself. It was me and God in that car. And it was God saying, look, I know everybody's saying if it would have happened, it would have happened by now. But are you going to trust me? Are you going to have the faith of a mustard seed? The same people were saying that I was fake when I was buried for 2-3 days, but I rose again. So it's knowing that you can walk through the darkness and showing them, concentrate on you and what you're going through, and your outside world will change. But your mom don't owe you nothing. Your dad don't owe you nothing. Your ex don't owe you nothing. Your husband don't owe you nothing. It's all up here in your head. So that's what I teach them. And then I give them customized systems to battle what they're facing.
Wow, you're a great speaker. You know, if I ever need a coach to be on, simplify your words. I talk too much. Because
no, you're perfect. Sorry, I'm crying.
Thank you. But it is very practical, and it's very to the point, and it's very clear. It's very clear what you have to do. And I love that you help people not avoid, help people not numb. Because right now we have an epidemic of that. People are numbing. People don't want to see. They don't want to look at their skeletons in the closet. They don't want to go do like what Tim says, right, in his books, and Shari, the on bed, you know. And I think that's very important, because there's no true healing until you face the dragon, right? The dragon of power, the dragon of potential, the dragon of magnificence is unleashed by killing the dragon of doubt, the dragon of disbelief, and the dragon of the complaining and blaming, you know. And I love that you help people return to personal responsibility, to take a look with your support so they are not alone. That's the difference that you are doing right now. Back then, you were alone. You were the 11-year-old boy alone trying to defend your mom. This time, you're going back in time to help these people holding their hands. And I think that's it moves me. I'm in between. I want to cry, but I'm also so excited for the podcast that I want.
Excited tears.
Yes, excited tears. They're called in Sanskrit. They're called it's called bhakti, devotional tears. When you understand that something is really genuine. So
I love that.
I love this, Jeff. So we reach an audience of a lot of people that speak English in Latin America. A lot of people that follow us are faith based. Faith is our main fuel, And I love what you said. Faith without action is dead. I love the mustard seed parable of the Bible. It's one of my main. I'm a believer of faith in action. Faith as a fuel of creation and the evidence of things not seen, but we believe, right? Because we know who gives us, we know who is in charge. And that's a really powerful thing. So with that said, and we'll make sure to give the access for people to reach out to you for support, like your Instagram, your Facebook page, all of that will be in charge of that. But is there any final message of faith, of overcoming adversity, of trusting more in God that you would like to end this podcast with?
Sure. So actually, I prayed to God a couple of weeks ago and I said, I know you're trying to tell me something, but I don't fully hear you. And one of the verses that I read constantly is when Jesus calmed the sea. And it's about 6 sentences. And when I read this, literally I've read this 1,000 times. I saw it in a different light. So I broke this down. I'd like to share it with everybody. So if you look at the parable when Jesus calmed the sea, look at what it says. Jesus got into the boat. So what does that mean? Jesus led. Jesus will go in front of you. Jesus will make a way. Then what happened? The disciples got in the boat. So they had a choice to follow Jesus. We have a choice to follow Jesus. Then it says, suddenly the waves rose up. Well, isn't that a lot like your dreams? You go to accomplish them. Suddenly you run out of money. Suddenly people don't help you out. Suddenly everything come against you. And then it says Jesus was sleeping. Well, what do you have to do to sleep? You have to be relaxed. You have to be peaceful. You have to believe. Then the disciples went and woke him. Well, how many times do we go for our dreams? Oh, Jesus, I thought you said it was going to work out. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Jesus got up. So Jesus moves for us. And then Jesus said, you have little faith. Jesus is asking you, why do you not believe in this relationship? Why do you not believe in him? And he got up and calmed the sea. And what happened to the disciples? They were amazed. But yet they had seen him do this thousands of times. So if you're a person of faith, when I was in the car with nothing but God, I said, you saved me when I was 2 pounds, 11 ounces. You saved me when I was in that house with Sean. You saved me when I should have and easily could have committed suicide after everything I went through. Could have been a drug addict, could have been in jail. Saved me when the people told me that I need to leave the church because I disgraced God. And you told me, nobody speaks for you. You can speak for yourself. God wrote his words over 2,000 years ago, but it's called the living word because it speaks now. So everything you're going through, every single thing in the Bible, if you read deep enough and you pray deep enough, has a purpose and is an instruction manual for a person of faith. So the advice I would give them is trust God, but seek God. Like if you had $1 million uncle and you had a $40 electric bill and he said, hey, I'm going to pay it today by 12 o'clock, but I got to go handle some meetings. And your friends came up and said, oh, they're going to shut your lights off. They're going to shut your lights off. You would say, no, my uncle's got money. He's going to come and pay it. But everybody would come and say, oh, it's 12:30. It's this, it's that. And then he swoops in. He goes, why didn't you trust me? I'm worth billions. I live in I drive around a limo, ride in a jet plane. Well, how many times do we go against God I rose from the dead. I went through hell and got the keys that you're walking through. I overcame people coming against me. I calmed the sea. I walked on water. But yet we say, oh, God, I want to write a book, but I don't know if the money will come through. Or, I live in a car. I don't know if I'll make it. Don't question the miracles of Jesus. Look at him, believe in him, and move accordingly.
Amen. I think, this is one of my favorite parables in the Bible. And it moves me. It's incredible how you dissect it, x-rayed it. I usually tell that parable. It's in my new book that is coming out, which is called The Calming Effect. But
I can't wait to read it.
Yes. I'm going to send it to you. Actually, I was thinking, Jeff, we should open the D&D church.
Yes, we should.
We should talk to Shari and tell her, Shari, we have a proposal. We want to open the D&D church. You are an incredible word of God transmitter. You transmit the living word. I felt it. Very powerful. Yeah, very.
Thank
not
you.
like a preacher. Really like. Ever consider really dissecting it before. I always like when he stands up and tells the storm, be still, storm, be still. He doesn't say storm, go away, just be still. But this part, what you shared, is an incredible blessing for everyone. I think everybody, when you read the parable, when you read even the Bible, when you study the words of Jesus, I think you just open this up. We're going to do it differently. We're going to see it mindfully. And this translates to the things we live in our lives, to the health, to the good, to the worst, to the bad, to all of it. If we see it as a parable that can guide us into a more heavenly realm here within, being a better leader, being a better human, just being a good human, for God's sake. That's, we're good humans right now. I think we will become the living scripture that God wants us to be. So, my ally, thank you. Thank you. This was very empowering, very energizing, very tearful too, and really useful. And I really hope that people can, I know they will find you. There's no doubt. I know they will find you, and I know that you'll help them find their way back to their own sanity too. Thank you.
Thank you. And I appreciate all the work you do. And thank you for having me on. And thank you for, like I told Shiva, thank you for the blessings, that you guys have really opened up for me, and the peace that you've given me to share, and the protection inside the group. So thank you.
Yeah. I hold you in my heart. I'm a mom of a 12-year-old. So your 11-year-old is safe now.
Thank you.
Love you, Ally. Thank you, everyone. And remember to follow us, and like and share. We're a philanthropic-based podcast. We don't use advertisement. We don't bring commercials purposefully. We're self-sponsored. We are produced by Brilliant Futures Productions and sponsored by De La Flor Teachings International. So you get the speaker's wisdom purely without anything for us to add on it. So thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week. Un besito. Adios. We hope you enjoyed this new episode, and if you did, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere where you prefer to listen to your podcast. Make sure to check the links to everything we mentioned in this episode. For more news, future or past episodes, or for any other inquiry, please visit our website at delaflorteachings.com. Once again, thank you for listening to the Spirituality Now podcast.